So this is a very special guitar, kind of a one of a kind. This is my LTD Michael Wilton signature guitar that I had repainted black. This guitar came with like horrific, to me, glow in the dark skulls all over it, but I knew instantly that I wanted to get it and have it painted black. And when I bought it in 2007, getting a guitar refinished was a lot cheaper than it is now. I think it cost me like £190 to get it done professionally, and I've been quoted recently at like £600. Various reasons for that going up, but yeah. So basically, I got this guitar because I was like, you know, I've always been a big fan of like Obituary and stuff, and Trevor uses, you know, like Strats, and I was getting into bands like Forbidden, and I remember seeing, I think it was like the Ultimate Revenge tour on YouTube, and those guys were playing like modded Strats. So I wanted like a more traditional Strat shape guitar. So this is, yeah, as you can see, like a traditional Strat shape as opposed to like a super Strat kind of body. You know, we've got the single coils there. So originally it came with Duncan design pickups, and I had it swapped out. So when I took it to get refinished, I had EMGs put in 81 and 2 single coils, and this is what we used for rhythms on Conclusion of an Age. But then when we did Edge of the Earth, I put the Duncan designs back in for the single coils, and then I had a Seymour Duncan JB on Edge of the Earth. This guitar has been beat up. Basically, I sold this guitar not long after we recorded Edge of the Earth. Maybe, I think I sold it in 2010. Because I think I bought the Les Paul Access around that time, 2011, around then. And I sold it to Faisal, the bass player in Loathe, who, at least at the time, was a big Sylosis fan, and despite the fact that he plays bass in Loathe, he is a shredder on the guitar. So he had this guitar for years, and I actually bought it back off him in 2019, maybe the start of 2019. On tour. So yeah, it's been used quite a lot. It's been dinged up. I don't know who did that one. I think that might have been Faisal. But I think the finish obviously is not necessarily exactly the same that you might get from the factory. So I think it's a little bit more prone to taking a beating and getting knocked about. I remember on that tour that I bought it back, I went out to a guitar store and found some black pots here. I did want to get a black Floyd Rose and hardware, but I haven't got around to doing that. But this guitar is pretty much just a stay-at-home guitar, and it's currently in E standard, I think. So in terms of the spec, Fishman Modern in the bridge and the single coils. I don't know what model Floyd Rose it is, but it is a Floyd Rose as opposed to a licensed one. And then, yeah, diamond inlays, which I've always loved. Only 22 frets, which made some of the lead playing kind of not hard to get up there, but more just in terms of limiting, like, you know, I'd have to like bend up to get to a high E, that kind of thing. It's got locking tuners. Those are original, as you can see. Yeah, and to be honest, like I said, I got this guitar just because of the way it looked, and I wanted a guitar like this. If I'm being completely honest, I'm not actually that familiar with any Queensryche. I know Michael Wilton's a great player, but I got the guitar to kind of make it my own, and like I say, have it refinished. And that's what gauge strings we have on it currently. It's got the Fishman rechargeable battery pack there, the Floyd Rose back cover. As you can see, there's a bit of an old sock in there that I kind of wrap around the springs in Floyd Rose to stop a bit of the noise. So yeah, this guitar, basically, when we were doing Conclusion of an Age, I bought a Explorer EX 400 from ESP through the deal that I had at the time. I got this through the endorsement I had back then, which was through the UK distributor at the time. And I bought that Explorer shaped guitar thinking this is going to be, you know, the guitar for the rhythms, fixed bridge, James Hetfield vibes. It was a white one. And then when we were in the studio, I took this guitar and a few others, including my M2. And we just kind of tried out some other guitars just whilst we were setting up rhythm tones. And this one just sounded so sick. And this is the guitar that kind of started it all for me, like in the combination of an older body and a bolt-on neck, and figuring out that that was like those big components, the sort of tone that I like. So this is the kind of why I chose that combination for the JM2, just because this guitar always sounded really good. Even though it has a Floyd Rose, I actually prefer the sound of a Floyd Rose to a lot of other bridges, to be honest. Used it for all of the rhythms on Conclusion of an Age, some solos. I definitely used it on the solo to Reflections Through Fire, because the solo starts with a single coil neck pickup sound. And yeah, then most of the guitars for Edge of the Earth, most of the leads, I was trying to make sure that I wasn't using the M2, so I didn't find myself tempted to use like 24 frets, because I was using this guitar more live. So I didn't want to write stuff that I couldn't then play on a 22 fret guitar. So yeah, that's it. Got the push-pull for the active, passive Fishman voicing thing. This guitar, like I say, it kind of mostly lives for me at home now, and I keep it in E standard. I did like just a recording with it the other day, and it still sounds amazing, really great sounding guitar. And shout out to Faisal from Loathe, who had it for many years. Maybe he had it, 2010 to 2019, I think. So, long time. And I think he definitely played it a lot, which is cool. But I'm very stoked to have it back at home with me. And it kind of just is a piece of Solos' history at this point. Very cool guitar. So this guitar definitely has like a pretty unique sound. Instantly it sounds like the Conclusion tone. Even though it's completely different. I'm just playing through a Kemper profile, but even though it's like not the same rig. Usually, like, I know guitars have different sounds, but this one seems to be pretty unique, and I don't know why that is, but it just sounds really good. Specifically for that kind of thrashy rhythm stuff, even though, like I say, it's got Floyd Rose, which, at least back when I went in the studio to record Conclusion, I was just thinking, it makes sense to record rhythms with a fixed bridge, like a Tunematic bridge, hardtail, and keep the Floyd Rose for the leads, but yeah, sounds great. Sounds like just a really tight rhythm tone. Also, when we were in the studio doing Conclusion of an Age, I was using 10 to 52s at the time. And I was using them for years because we used to play in drop B and drop C, maybe heavier gauge strings and that, and then we moved to D for Casting Shadows and Supreme Oppressor, and I was still using 10 to 52s, and I kind of liked the thicker strings. Like, I could really just dig in and play really fast, and they wouldn't move around as much. And then we figured when we were in the studio that the tone wasn't what it could be because of the strings. I think the misconception is thicker strings sound fatter, but in my experience it's the opposite. Thicker strings, you get more, because like obviously like the grooves and the whines and the strings are a bit bigger, you catch more like of that kind of sound with the left hand kind of stuff, so you get a bit more like scratchy, scrapey stuff coming through. And actually, I was finding the low end to be a bit thicker with a slightly thinner gauge set of strings. So in the studio I use 10 to 46s. Currently this has 9 to 46s on it, just in E standard. And I remember when we were doing guitars for Conclusion of an Age, the first day of tracking rhythm guitars, like my wrist was destroyed. I had to get some like deep heat on it and like massage it and get like a sweatband and take as much like ibuprofen as possible at the time, just to I guess I just like an aggravated kind of tendonitis kind of thing that only really lasted the first day or two. Basically, because I'm so used to, I was using 1.14 gauge picks and 10 to 52 strings, that digging in, playing really fast is actually easier on thicker strings because the string doesn't bounce around as much. So you can just kind of go really, really fast, do all the kind of, that kind of stuff is actually easier with thicker strings. Obviously, lead playing is harder with thicker strings, but rhythm to me is easier with thicker strings. And yeah, switching to the light strings, it sounded way better. The tone just felt like more satisfying and like a bit more bite to the top end. But yeah, a bit of an adjustment from playing 10 to 52s in the studio. So yeah, I'll just do a bit more riffing so you can hear how this guitar sounds.